September 17th, 2022. Well, before I get into the main topic today, I wanted to uh, comment on this ongoing thing about the governors of Texas and Florida, uh, shipping or providing transportation, maybe we should say, for illegal immigrants into certain Democrat strongholds. The latest, of course, was DeSantis' move to send 50 of these illegal immigrants into Martha's Vineyard, a major rich Democrat stronghold. And it's kind of funny, the reaction. Although they claim their sanctuary beliefs and all that, they immediately get the National Guard to ship them to a military base. They weren't very welcomed, it turned out. So it looks like who's really the racist after all? Haven't I been telling you all along it's the Democrats that are the racists? Yeah, particularly the rich Democrats. So anyhow, but that's not the main topic. The main topic I was going to get into is the decision by Senator Lindsay Graham to basically try to make abortion an issue in this election by calling for a federal law that would ban all abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, excepting for the three exceptions of rape, incest, and life of the mother. And the real issue of this, of course, is not the idea of taking a pro-life position, but it's more about the timing and the strategy of it. And I'll get into that in a minute here. First of all, I want to mention that please subscribe. I need to get more subscribers. Thanks to whoever subscribed the other day. Give me a like if you like the video. It helps with the algorithm. And, of course, comments are appreciated. Yeah, so the thing is, while I personally have a pro-life point of view, although that gets into some cases, too. If we're talking strict, like every fertilized embryo must be protected with the full human rights, or something a little bit less than that. But definitely late abortions after 15 weeks, I definitely am against. And so the thing, and probably earlier than that, but there's also the politics is the art of the possible, not the desirable or whatever. And so the thing is that a law like Lindsey Graham proposes will not pass. It will not become law. And the reasons are pretty obvious, I think. First of all, I'm not sure there's even a simple majority for it in the Senate anyhow, let alone the House. And furthermore, to be more specific, of course, the filibuster would allow the Democrats to block it unless 10 Democrats went along with it at present. And even if Republicans hit the high water mark that they might get in this election if everything went right, they're still probably going to be well short of 60 votes. So the point is it's not going to pass the Senate, therefore it won't become law. And even if it did pass the Senate, Biden would veto it. So why are we bringing this up now when it's an impractical thing? And one of the key factors that seems to be mobilizing the Democrat get out the vote effort is the abortion issue on the part of pro-abortion factions in the population. So the question is, why is he doing this? And I don't have a good answer. I think the biggest problem with Lindsey Graham is he runs his mouth all the time, from being the close confidant of Donald Trump to the guy that's getting quoted saying things like Trump's a liar. So, I mean, what I'm getting at is, but fun to be with. This guy is just sort of an erratic individual. In fact, a little bit too erratic to be a major spokesman for the party, but there he is, and we'll have to see how much blowback this causes. But like I said, this bill will not become law anytime soon. Let's put it this way, unless the politics of the country evolves in a slightly different way. And Senator McConnell is to the point of view that this issue should be left to states, where there is a possibility of many states actually passing laws on this issue, such as many have. But nationally, that's not going to happen at the moment. So anyhow, but that's what the issue, of course, is what is this doing to the election? The latest generic ballot, which I tend to follow on Real Clear Politics, has the Democrats up at 1.3% now, which is a shift of I think about 4% in the Democrats' favor since I've been mentioning that on here. And that's not good news. Another slightly alarming factor has been the fact that the Rasmussen poll now has Republicans up only 1%. And that's not too good. However, what's notable about that, when you look into the details, which I found interesting, is what's happened in the latest change has not been the Democrat vote going up much. It's rather the Republican vote coming down, and something like 10% now saying they're undecided, and 5% saying that they're going to vote for other candidate, which, of course, they're not going to be voting for another candidate because in most cases there's no other candidate on the ballot. Or there may be some fringe independent that nobody even knows who they are. That's really, very few of them are really going to do that in reality. So this perhaps represents a frustration with both parties at the moment, and we don't know where things will flip. On the other hand, the latest Trafalgar poll pretty much has the Republicans up 6%. And so Trafalgar is a poll that pretty consistently trends toward the Republicans, I would say. It is a likely voters poll, and it is fairly accurate, even when they were wrong about who wins, such as, say, a Georgia in the 2020 election or whatever. You have a lot of, it was well within the margin of error. But so you might want to take Trafalgar and knock a couple of points off of it to get to reality. I mean, but you're pretty good with them, and so I don't know. We'll see where Rasmussen has been kind of volatile in the last 2 months, going from Republicans up +10 to now like +1. So I don't know what's exactly going on. They are a likely voter poll, and I don't think that the registered voter base has changed that much. The Democrats may be leading in new registrations in the last couple of months, but I don't think it's going to change the overall dynamics that much unless it's extremely close elections. But the likely voters can change, I guess, based on the statement of how likely they are to vote. And I don't know what Rasmussen's technique is on asserting that issue. Well, they simply ask the question, are you likely to vote, or they go a little deeper, and that's another factor to consider. So anyhow, bottom line is that still on the average, the likely voter polls right now stand at 3.5% plus for Republicans, and the registered voter polls are 3.3% for the Democrats. But there's a lot more registered voter polls currently in the average, and they're just being straight out average. So we'll have to see. It still seems to me like we're probably still an advantage Republican, but it's not as good as it did look before. So anyhow, and we'll have to see how other issues, play into this subject. Another thing I might want to briefly comment on, we've been following the Ukrainian situation a little bit, and of course, the Ukrainians have had a significant victory in the Kharkiv region recently, after apparently suffering some pretty heavy losses in trying to take Kherson. It's kind of hard to know what's going on here. Western media reports are all aglow about Ukrainian success. The dissidents in Russia have been acting up against Putin a little bit, and maybe you're facing a little bit of legal trouble there, if you want to call it that, crackdown. It seems like what has happened is the following, though, is that as far as I can figure out from what sources I can get at the moment on it, is that the attack on Kherson was meant to be a feint, and apparently it was a costly one, but it was successful in drawing the Russian forces south, and then the Ukrainians attacked with their NATO-trained forces with new tactics into a lightly defended Russian position around Kharkiv, and the Russians retreated rather than facing heavy casualties. So the Russians pretty much got out pretty much in one piece, but the equipment was left behind. However, I understand that Izium was a major hub for maintenance and refurbishing of damaged or broken down equipment. So a lot of the tanks and equipment that they captured may have been things that were in for repairs rather than ones that were fully operational, which is why they didn't drive them out. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're being attacked by a mobile force to abandon your tank and walk out. It would seem like that you'd put the tank, just drive the tank out. So I'm thinking that maybe these were immobile vehicles, or maybe ones that lacked fuel or something. At any rate, the Russians have had a big setback in terms of territory and propaganda, and we'll have to see what happens next and what the reaction they have next is. So anyway, that's kind of how that's going. I'll kind of wrap this up for now. You can follow me on social media, and I've given the addresses in the description below. And of course, I post these on Rumble as well. And so I'll bring this to a close for now, and until next time.